Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining. We will begin the presentation shortly. I've pasted a chat in the chat box that advises you how to view real-time captions, should you need to view real-time captions. We want to make you aware that due to the very, very large number of attendees and time constraints that we're dealing with, you will all remain in listen-only mode, and for the the Q&A period will focus on questions that were received in advance. Questions pertaining to the presentation can be sent to NSF ERA forum at nsf.gov. You will be able to view a PDF version of the presentation after the webinar on the ERA forum webpage. After the webinar, we will determine whether or not this recording of the webinar is a quality recording that can be published. If it is, we will make the recording available on that same ERA forum website. Thank you for joining and participating. Thanks everyone for joining. We are waiting a few minutes because we have a very, very large audience that we're expecting to join. So we really want to give them additional time to join on so that they're available to hear the start of the webinar. You guys will be in listen only mode because of this large quantity of people that we have joining us. You will also be able to view real-time captions. I've pasted the link to view the real-time captions in the chat. You will be able to see that and go there. A PDF version of the presentation will be made available on the ERA forum website following the presentation.
Hello, Denise Ramos here. The webinar will now begin.
Okay, we still have a few more people logging on, so I think let's just wait a few more minutes. Let's give everyone a few more minutes. We still have a few more participants logging on, and we'll begin shortly.
Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining. We will begin the presentation shortly. We have quite a few people who have signed up for this webinar, and we want to give them sufficient time to connect before we start. In the chat pane, you'll be able to see that we pasted a link for you to be able to view real-time captions during this event if you need to do so. You can submit questions to us at the NSF ERA forum at nsf.gov. Following the webinar, we will have a PDF version of the presentation posted to the ERA forum webpage. And if the recording is of quality, the recording of this webinar is a quality recording, then we will also publish the recording there. Thank you for joining.
All right, well, welcome. We appreciate everyone's patience. We had a large number of participants logging on, and we appreciate your patience and we welcome you. So the National Science Foundation would like to welcome and thank you for your participation in our ERA Forum webinar series. We've provided several helpful links in the chat function of Zoom. To view real captions, click the link labeled Captions in the chat. You also should have received a link for captioning in your registration confirmation. And the agenda and presentation will be available after the webinar on our website, which is also linked in the chat. If you do require additional assistance, please contact Zoom support at the number displayed on the screen and also in the chat function. Next slide, please. So the first part of our webinar is going to cover forum cadence, user engagement, and details on how to participate in today's forum. The second part of the webinar will focus on today's primary discussion topics, and that includes Research.gov updates, migrating proposal preparation from Fastlane to Research.gov, system enhancements, our new proposal preparation demo site, and we're really excited to show you the demo site. We think it's going to be extremely useful. We'll also give you an overview of Science CV and our new award notice specific and for PI transfer. We thank all of you who sent questions in advance. We'll be answering those questions that we received via email during the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. If you have additional questions related to today's topics, you can also send them to the ERA Forum inbox. What we'll do is we'll document those questions, and then we'll answer them as part of an FAQ document, and that'll be available on our website in the weeks that follow the webinar. Next slide, please. So how do you engage with the ERA Forum? Well, again, we encourage you to provide questions and comments via the ERA Forum inbox. At the end of the session, we'll send you a link via email to a brief post-webinar survey. And we really strongly encourage you to complete the survey. We do look at the survey results very carefully, and it's really important for us to collect your input on the topics that were discussed today. And we really want to get your feedback on the forum. So please, again, fill out the webinar survey. It's really important, and we do appreciate all the feedback. And again, we do look at those the feedback that we receive. As part of the survey, we'll also collect your interests on future forum topics. And if you haven't subscribed to the NSF ERA Forum, we have the address here. And this way you can get the latest updates on forum activities. And that listserv information will be displayed here and also at the end of the presentation. Just a quick, a little bit about the ERA Forum. The ERA Forum is held twice annually, and we also engage with the research community via one-on-one interviews, through focus groups, through online polls, and usability testing. So at the end, as part of the survey, we also ask you if you're interested in participating in any of these events, and we ask you to provide that information. So on this slide, we have a little bit of background, again, on the ERA Forum. Again, it's really important for us for NSF to regularly engage with the research community to get your thoughts and opinions and perspectives on ERA activities, to gather your topics of interest for future forum webinars, and then also, again, to solicit volunteers for usability studies. We have just a little bit of information about the last forum that we held in May 2020. And again, these topics are, well, the topics actually, so this webinar is actually our 9th ERA Forum webinar, and I won't go over the 2020 webinar, but we do have information about each of the webinars that we've had in the past. We have that on our NSF website. So if you're interested in seeing, some of the other sessions, that information is also available. Next slide, please. So the speakers today are from NSF's Office of Budget Finance Award Management, BFA, and it's a collaboration with our Office of Information and Resource Management. We also have a guest speaker from NIH who's also collaborating with us today on the forum. I'm Maria Kozolka. I'm the staff associate for Research.gov, and joining me is Jean Feldman, head of our policy office at NSF, Sonia Aurora, who's an IT project manager. Our guest from NIH is Sherry Bailey, product manager, and also we have Jeff Pacelli, who's head of our systems office. And I'll turn it over now to Jean.
Sorry, had to turn off my mute. So welcome everyone. We are delighted that so many of you are with us today for yet one more ERA forum. I do want to say at the very outset, though, that we sincerely hope that all of you are doing well during these very challenging times and are staying safe and healthy. That's vitally important. Next slide, please. So I'm going to be talking a bit about our migration of proposal preparation from Fastlane to Research.gov. And many of you are aware that we've been talking about Research.gov for quite some time now. And you've been hearing about all kinds of aspects about Research.gov. I have a slide at the end of my part of the presentation that talks about where things are, whether they're in Fastlane or Research.gov, and we know that could be confusing. And so we're going to do everything possible throughout this process to make sure that everyone is truly aware of where they need to go for any different function that they need to perform. So as I mentioned, we've been talking about the proposal submission modernization aspect of Research.gov for some time. Obviously, as all of you are aware, or I hope you're aware, the new NSF director, Panchanathan, issued Important Notice 147 at the end of September. And the purpose of this important notice was to make the community aware about the transition of the preparation and submission of proposals incrementally from Fastlane to Research.gov. And by that, we would mean removing Fastlane as an option from each funding opportunity. And we're targeting completion. Again, this is a target, but we're targeting completion of this transition by 2022. So that means, just to lay some context, there will be a 2021 PAP guide. In the 2021 PAP guide that we are working on as we speak to put a draft together in the Federal Register, that is the last, we believe it will be the last PAP guide that will actually refer to Fastlane for use in proposal preparation. So we are really working to make sure that we're very clear about what our requirements are, and that our funding opportunities, our solicitations in particular, clearly specify what kind of submission, whether it's Fastlane is required, whether Research.gov is required, whether it's available for use, or whatever the case may be. But this important notice also indicated that some funding opportunities will begin to require use of Research.gov and will not be available for submission in Fastlane. Grants.gov, before those that use it are like, whoa, wait a minute, grants.gov will still be an option. Well, what's the reason for this? Well, as I just mentioned, Fastlane is quite frankly, in computer science terms, it's archaic. It was launched in 1994, and it's built on technology that at one time was incredibly cutting edge, now is considered old, inflexible. The computer programming it's hard to even find folks that program in the systems that we use for Fastlane. There is a limited ability for NSF to make cost-efficient system improvements and add requested features for reducing administrative burden, which we know and we factor in truly to everything we do. Our current user interfaces do not conform to what the modern standards are, and it's difficult for new users to learn. Challenging for research community, it is a challenge for the research community to prepare, submit, and manage proposals when you've got not one, not two, but three different systems that could be used to submit a proposal. And it's finally costly and inefficient for NSF to support proposal preparation in multiple systems. So I can tell you, as someone who actually did the policy behind Fastlane all those many years ago, when we moved to Fastlane, people told us we were crazy. Please don't do it. We don't want it. And in this amount of time, Fastlane has become an almost religious experience for many of the folks out there. So since July 2020, we have been busily working to make sure that research.gov is able to support all research proposals that conform to the standard PAP guide requirements for formatting and document content. And the gradual proposal transition, we believe, as articulated in Important Notice 147, will minimize the burden on both the research community and NSF staff. We also believe that the expanded compliance checking reduces administrative burden for the community and NSF staff. And why is this so important? Because it's vital that a faculty member know right away, and in research.gov, they absolutely do, understand when they have errors, which are things that will not let you submit a proposal to NSF. So it's vitally important that you know that as soon as possible in the process. And we believe that definitely does reduce the administrative burden for the research community. Next slide, please. So in addition then to what the Important Notice 147 said, it also referred to the Directorate for Biological Sciences. And the Directorate for Biological Sciences stepped forward and said, hey, we want to help in this jumpstart, this ramp up, if you will, of the proposal submission modernization capability in research.gov. So what does that mean to all of you? Well, core solicitations, there are a number of core bio solicitations that have been modified, and they are the ones without deadline dates, and they will require submission via research.gov or grants.gov. There's a 90-day grace period before the solicitations are removed from Fastlane, and there's a lot more detail on the bio website. I should also emphasize that there are other bio solicitations that do include deadline dates, that we are working with them to address issues and to ultimately get those posted as well. But we're doing this in a very measured approach. We're also reaching out to the other directorates to allow for a custom transition plan. We're working directly with our education and human resources, engineering, social, behavioral, and economic sciences to make sure that what we develop in terms of a transition for that directorate meets the specific needs of that directorate. So some tips for preparers in research.gov. Research.gov, in this space anyway, research.gov will be added to solicitations whenever possible as an option. NSF strongly encourages proposal submission via research.gov. Again, it's the expanded compliance checking. And we believe that the system and the user interface is much more user-friendly. Proposal information cannot be transferred, however, from Fastlane to research.gov and vice versa. So you will not be able to start a proposal in one system and say, oh, I'm going to pick this up and move it to proposal submission modernization or PSM in research.gov. It just doesn't work that way. Likewise, proposal file updates and budget revisions must be executed in the same system as in the proposal that was submitted. So if it was submitted via FastLane, you're going to have to do your PFUs and budget revisions in FastLane. And the opposite is true if you started in PSM. All proposals in a separately submitted collaborative from multiple organizations have to be prepared in the same system. So your collaborators are going to have to figure that out and either pick research.gov or FastLane, unless, of course, the solicitation mandates that you use one. But the bottom line is you're going to have you're going to have to really explain to your researchers that they need to communicate with their collaborators so they start these proposals in the right system. Proposals submitted in research.gov are evaluated in exactly the same way as proposals submitted in FastLane and grants.gov. And this migration does not impact the merit review process in any way. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to talk just very briefly about some recent system enhancements that we've made to research.gov that I think will be very positive to you in terms of where we're going. Next slide. So we have received communications from the community. We do listen to you. And this particular issue has to do with font warnings that faculty are receiving in research.gov. And the changes that we're going to make effective November 23rd, the compliance checks and associated compliance warnings for font type and font size will be removed in research.gov to align with FastLane. So it's important to emphasize to the community that this wasn't a system defect. In fact, what we had programmed in research.gov was absolutely compliant with policy. But we just want to make sure at this ramp up stage where we're trying to push people to use and engage the faculty in use of research.gov, this isn't a time to push them away. So effective November 23rd, again, those checks and warnings will be removed to align with FastLane. Remember that the guidance still on proposal font requirements still must be followed, and proposals may be returned without review if they're not compliant with the PAP guide. Now, remember, what they would get is a warning. A warning in research.gov does not prevent submission, while errors prevent document upload. The PAP guide font policy remains as follows: Arial, not Arial Roman, Courier New or Palatino linotype at a font size of 10 points or larger, Times New Roman at a font size of 11 points or larger, or Computer Modern family of fonts at a font size of 11 points or larger. A font size of less than 10 may be used for your mathematical formulas, equations, figures, etc. So this is a really important issue, folks, that we are giving a lot of thought to. We understand that fonts are just something that is a very personal issue to faculty members, and they really, really want to use the fonts that they want to use. So we're looking further into this issue for the next of changes for the next possible PAP guide release. But we are definitely making this particular change per feedback from the research community. I mean, this demonstrates we really do listen to you. Next slide. Additional proposal types, another very exciting thing. Again, I've already mentioned that we started with the research proposal, and then without collaborations, and then we rolled out the collaborative activity aspects of proposals with subawards, and then separately submitted collaboratives. And so that part of the functionality is all built out. We will be adding new proposal types. Again, we've been focusing on research. Now we're focusing on building out the additional proposal types that are described in the PAP guide. RAPID, which stands for Rapid Response Research, EAGRs, Early Concept Grants for Exploratory Research, and Research advanced by interdisciplinary science and engineering, RAISE, will all be effective as new proposal types beginning November 23rd. Obviously, there are associated compliance checks that are different in some cases from a research proposal, and you have to bear that in mind. And a couple of things that I should emphasize about these compliance checks is that it is going to account for the project description page limitations for rapids and eagers. The money amounts for rapids and eagers, 200K for rapid, 300K for eager, the 1 million for a raise proposal. The proposal durations will be checked based on what kind of proposal it is. For a rapid, you can't exceed 1 year or 12 months for a rapid, 24 months for an eager, and 5 years for a raise. Program officer concurrence email remains required for rapid, eager, and raise proposal. Note that all the proposal types are already listed on research.gov, but only those currently supported are available for selection. Next slide. Sorry. And then with this last slide, this is just a big picture of where we are and what's ahead in research.gov. I mentioned this early. You can see where the current capabilities are. You can see in this slide what the upcoming capabilities, and as I mentioned, it's got the rapid, eager, and raise in the middle column, as well as a proposal feature of being able to withdraw single and collaborative submissions. And then finally, in the third column, we do talk about the future capabilities that we are planning on building out. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Sonia Aurora, who's going to tell you all about the very exciting research.gov proposal preparation demo site that NSF launched on October 26th. Sonia?
Thank you very much, Jean. Next slide, please. As Maria briefly mentioned, we're very excited to share with you our recently launched Research.gov proposal preparation demo site. This site is available for use to both our research community and our NSF staff. Demo site allows you to prepare and edit proposals before preparing proposals in the actual system. All compliance checks that are enabled in the actual proposal submission system will also apply to proposals in the demo site. All proposal types available in the actual system will also be available in our new demo site. As other proposal types are added to the Research.gov proposal submission system, we plan to also implement that to our demo site. So we're very excited for this opportunity for all of us. For our initial implementation, the demo site will not support proposal submission and will not trigger any system-generated email notifications. All users who access the demo site will be given the role of a PI. Users from the research community will have their organizations they are affiliated with in their NSF account profile and the National Science Foundation mock organization as available organizations in the demo site. And I'll show you just in a little bit when I demo the system to you. An important note here, the demo site proposals will not be available in the actual Research.gov proposal system. And information cannot be transferred between the demo site and the actual proposal submission system. With the launch of this demo site, we also retired the FastLane demo site. So if you happen to access the FastLane demo site, it will redirect you to our newly launched Research.gov demo site. Next slide, please. So just this past September, we provided our research community an alternative way to sign in to Research.gov. So instead of using your NSF ID, you can use your primary email address to sign in and use that for your NSF account password recovery. So users will still be able to sign in to Research.gov using their NSF ID, but this change is intended to make it easier for users to remember their Research.gov sign-in information, as well as to align with the industry standards for signing in using an email address. Next slide, please. Now I'm going to walk you through the Research.gov proposal preparation process in our newly launched demo site. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So once you're on the Research.gov homepage, you can access the demo site under Prepare and Submit Proposals. And you can go ahead and click on the demo site link located there. And as I've just mentioned, you can access the demo site by entering either your NSF ID or your primary email address that you entered when you created your profile. Also to note, the organization that you are affiliated with in your NSF account profile will also be transferred to the demo site, in addition to the National Science Foundation as a mock organization. A real big note here is that the user roles that you have will not be available in the demo site. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and log in with my NSF ID. Let me try that again. Apologies for that. It's just not. Give me just a minute. We're having some technical difficulties here. So I just tried a different browser and it seemed to be working. So luckily we can still continue with the demo. All right, so once I'm in the demo site, a welcome message pops up. So this is very similar to the actual proposal submission system. It provides important messages for your awareness about the functionalities within the site. So let's go ahead and click continue. I want to note a few things in this main page here. So at the top of the demo site, you will see an orange banner to clearly indicate that you are in the demo site. To the top right corner, you will see that your user role has been defaulted to a PI role. As we move forward, we will be considering adding more user types into the demo site. Also, under submitted proposals, you will see an information message icon to let you know that the submission functionality is not enabled in the demo site. This is also another area we will be considering adding down the road. So now let's go ahead and prepare a proposal. So this takes you to the 5-step proposal creation wizard. The first step is to select the funding opportunity. Again, as I mentioned before, all proposal types available in the actual system are also available in the demo site. So here, you can either filter by the solicitation number or by keyword search. So for the purposes of our demo, I'm going to go ahead and select the PAPG. and move on to the second step. So the second step is to select the unit of consideration. Now, if this was a funding opportunity with single unit of consideration, then the data would have pre-populated. In this case, I'm able to add multiple. So I'm going to add a couple. Now here, we've added additional functionality where you can prioritize the unit of importance by using the arrow feature. Let's go to the third step. So the third step is the proposal type. Currently, we have only enabled research proposal type. And as Jean showed you all and mentioned, we are actively working on implementing rapid, eager, and raise in the coming weeks. And so once those are enabled, you will be able to select those as an option. Similar to step 3, we've only enabled full proposal submission type, and we are working on other submission type available in the near future. Moving on to the last step in the wizard is to identify whether this proposal is a single submission with or without subaward or separately submitted collaborative proposal. NSF defines collaboratives in 2 ways: single submission with subawards or separately submitted collaborative proposals from multiple organizations. Here, we've also simplified the questions to minimize confusions and have added some helpful information to support you in making the right selection. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to go ahead and select a single proposal. And I'm going to go ahead and add a title and create Prepare Proposal. Just like in the actual system, once you click on Prepare Proposal, you cannot undo any of your selections. Now, if you wanted to change your funding opportunity at this stage, you will have to prepare a new proposal. Now, what this takes you to is your main proposal page. At the top, you will see in orange text, you will be provided with helpful information regarding the functionalities within the demo site. To reiterate, the demo site is a replica of the actual proposal submission system, with the exception that the demo site will not allow proposal submissions and will not generate email notifications. Also, the demo site data will not be transferred to the actual proposal submission system. Moving a little further down are the selections I made using the wizard. To the right is the due date. And here is a link to the funding opportunity for your reference. Moving a little bit more down are your required sections per the funding opportunity, also your optional sections. To the left-hand side are your proposal actions. And below the proposal actions are helpful links and video on how to submit a proposal. Again, this is the same look and feel as the actual system. We also carried over the information message icon functionality to provide additional guidance for our users. You can also share your proposal with your SPO or AOR, just like you would in a real system. So I'm going to go ahead and select Share Proposal Access. Now, I've received several errors since I didn't complete any of the required sections, so we can ignore that for now. And go ahead and select Change Proposal Access. So at this point, you can either share view-only access, edit access, or edit access with submission. But again, the demo site will not support this functionality at this time. All right, now I'm going to walk you through how our compliance checks work and what the error and warning messages mean. So I'll go ahead and select a project summary. So as Jean stated earlier, based on your feedback, we are removing the automated compliance checks and associated compliance warnings for font type and font size. So just wanted to provide that for you. And if you have feedback for us at any time during the proposal preparation process, there is a give feedback button at the top right in every section. So please, we welcome all feedback. So please feel free to provide your honest input. And we do value that very seriously here at NSF. Now go ahead and upload a project summary. Now, as you can see, Research.gov gives you instant feedback on document upload. So the file I just uploaded gave me an error. This is a hard stop, and it's indicated in this red box here. And you will not be able to proceed with proposal submission if you were in the actual system. A couple of other things I want to note here is that we have provided very helpful instructions to assist you with this section of the proposal. And you will see similar guidance throughout the other sections. And again, this functionality was carried over from the actual proposal submission system. So again, the same look and feel to be consistent. So you have that real experience in preparing your proposal. So let's go ahead and take a look at a successful upload. So if my upload was successful, it will be indicated by a green box with a check mark. And you can also go to your main proposal page and check your compliance status for each of your required sections. I want to note that we have built in over 89 compliance validations checks to date versus 56 in Fastlane. And the benefit to you and why more automated compliance checks are good is that it reduces the chance of your proposal being returned without review due to formatting issues. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a senior personnel to the proposal. So I'll go ahead and select Manage Personnel. Again, Manage Personnel. And I'm going to go ahead and add a co-PI to my proposal. So this behaves very similar and exactly as it would in the actual system. So you can search a co-PI or a senior personnel using the NSF ID or email. So now let's go ahead and add senior personnel documents. So for all senior personnel identified in a proposal, we require a biographical sketch, current and pending support, and COA documents. Now I'll go ahead and upload a COA document to, again, highlight our compliance checks in place. And again, as I mentioned before, you will see very helpful instructions throughout the sections. And if you're unsure of the requirements, there are helpful FAQs. Also, we try to incorporate helpful video that's short so that it gets to the right point and so that you can go ahead and create that document. And if you have any further questions or still need further assistance, please do reach out to us. We're happy to assist you. So I'll go ahead and upload a COA. So again, as indicated in red, this is a hard stop, and so you cannot proceed to proposal submission. Also, we have provided actionable errors, which specifies the row, column, and special characters to help you focus on the areas that require correction. So I'm going to go ahead and upload a successful document. Now with a successful upload, you'll see a preview of the uploaded document. We encourage you to double check to ensure it is the correct file and the content within the file is correct. So I'll go ahead and click upload. All right, now let's go ahead and add budget to our proposal. Now here are my senior personnels associated with this proposal. Now, if I wanted to remove a senior personnel from my budget, you would simply click on the Manage link, and you can quickly remove or add back your senior personnel. Now, we can also add multiple years to our budget. So here I'm just going to add 2. And if you wanted to get a little bit more real estate, all you have to do is minimize your menu, and it gives you that much space so you can focus on your budget. So I'm going to go ahead and add some numbers here. One additional feature that we added with you all in mind is we do roll up our numbers, so you don't have to take out that handy calculator to do it yourself. We'll do that. We'll do the math for you. So a reminder here, if you have postdoctoral scholars on your proposal, you must submit a postdoctoral mentoring plan. And so we have built-in reminders for you for each of the relevant sections. So you can see that here, that a mentoring plan is required since you've identified in the budget that you have postdoctoral scholars. Now, if this was a separately submitted collaborative proposal set, then the lead proposer must submit the postdoctoral mentoring plan for every postdoctoral fellow in the collaborative set. All right, so now I'm going to switch my browser. I'm going to show you how the proposal file update and budget revisions work. So since the demo site do not allow submissions, I will have to show you in our internal test site. So just give me a minute. So here I'm logged in as a PI, and I'm going to go ahead and click on a submitted proposal. So you can go ahead and prepare a proposal update. So that's the proposal action you would select. The general rule around PFU is that you could do a PFU as long as there are no reviewers assigned. If there are reviewers assigned, then you can only do a budget revision. For every PFU or proposal file update, you must submit a budget justification form. So I'm going to go ahead and upload a new project summary. So I'm going to delete the submitted one, and I'm going to upload a new one. So once you've uploaded your document in the section you want to update, you will see the sections that you updated with the time that the update was taken. So now let's go ahead and add, make a budget revision to our submitted proposal here. All right. I apologize for that. Let me see if I can go back to that. Experiencing some technical difficulties today. I apologize for the technical difficulties here. I was really at the end of my demo there. So for the budget revision, if your budget has decreased by 10% or more, you must submit a budget impact statement. So we have built in that message when you do submit a revision for your budget. The requirement is not enforced by our system, but it will be required in order for NSF to issue an award. So keep that in mind when you are doing a budget revision. One last note I wanted to make is that once you are working on a PFU or a budget revision, you must re-grant the AOR access, and because the access doesn't get carried over from the original proposal submission. And that concludes my demo. I wanted to show you a couple of other items on just the generic Research.gov, or the homepage, excuse me. So let me take you there. So in the recent months, we've added new and updated FAQs and other content in the About page. And we will continue to populate the About page with helpful information with you all in mind. So once you access the proposal preparation and submission page, then it will provide your FAQs and everything that you need to know with the current functionality that's available in the system. We've also added the demo site FAQs, and you know, if you want to learn about all the features that's available, all the resources are available to you here. Now, a couple of other things I want to mention. So if you wanted to learn about our compliance checks, there is a helpful link here. We also have the link to our listservs located at the bottom of the page. And if you have any feedback at any time, please provide your feedback using that orange button at the bottom left of the main page. Or you can always call us and let us know how we can improve. Thank you so much, and let's get back to the presentation. Denise? Thank you. Can we go back one slide? Great, thank you. So I just walked you through the demo site functionalities, and I did show you where you can find helpful resources that's available on the research.gov. And again, it's on the About page. So we've taken great steps to minimize users from going to multiple places for information while preparing their proposals. So we do encourage you to start at the About page first. And if you still need additional support, then please do reach out to us. Next slide, please. So again, here's a list of helpful resources. So during the demo, I was able to show you where some of these resources live. For the FastLane automated compliance checklist, we typically update this with each annual PAPG release. However, we recently updated this on October 5th with the enforcement of the utilization of an NSF-approved format for current and pending support and biographical sketches. The Research.gov automated compliance check is updated with each major PSM release. And so the next version will be updated at the end of this month to reflect the validations that will be in place for rapid, eager, and raised proposal types. And you will receive communication once it's been updated and posted. So the listservs are available to both our internal staff as well as our research community. So please do share with your colleagues and proposer communities so that they can stay updated as well. Now I'll hand it over to Sherry Bailey from NIH.
Denise, can you put the slides in presentation mode?
Hi, Catherine. Jimmy is currently sharing his screen because my screen is giving me technical issues. So Jimmy would need to put the slides in presentation mode, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. I was running into some technical difficulties. Again, my name is Sherry, and I am from the National Institutes of Health, and I am excited to talk to you today about the NIH and NSF collaboration to assist you in creating your bio sketches and current and pending support documents. Next slide, please. Before we delve into the nuts and bolts, I wanted to provide a bit of background. ScienceEV started off as an interagency project about 7 years ago, with the goal of helping investigators and researchers streamline the process, reduce the administrative burden, and leverage existing data. In return, this helps all the agencies because they are able to track the impact and return on tax dollars. ScienceEV currently supports 2 types of NIH biosketches, general and fellowship, the NSF biosketch, and the current and pending support document. And we also support the Department of Education's biosketch. We leverage different external repositories such as ORCID, NSF, PubMed, PubMed Central, and NIH's ERA Commons, and also provide the ability to upload citations from reference managers that you may already be using. So now let's take a look at how ScienceEV can benefit your colleagues. Slide, please. These 2, very important documents provide details on how to properly set up a biosketch for either NIH or NSF. These documents provide information about fonts, margins, lines per inch, columns, and so on. Science CV eliminates this because we maintain the information to make sure that it adheres to each agency's requirement. Next slide, please. The advantage of using Science CV is that you can link external resources that you may already have. And it comes in handy when it's time to fill out your biosketch, which is part of the grant application process. In this slide, it shows you where you can link your NIH ERA Commons account if you're an existing NIH grant holder, your NSF account, and or ORCID, which is a free author ID system where you can maintain your profile. All this to say, you have the ability to link free or any combination by using the credentials you already have. Next slide, please. Having all three systems linked to Science CV at the same time to leverage your data. Pulling in integrated data from NIH's ERA Commons, ORCID, and Research.gov. This is going to save you time when applying for grants. Next slide, please. Here's an example on how easy it is to link to other accounts. There are prompts throughout the web page to add ORCID, for example, or your NSF ID, or even your NIH ERA Commons ID based on the type of biosketch you're creating. The example to the left shows how easily you can add the ORCID ID, your NSF biosketch. To the right is another way that you can link accounts to your MyNCBI account. Once you log into Science CV, you can access the settings within your MyNCBI account, which stores Science CV. Click on the username, which is located on your top right, click the change button in the linked accounts box, locate the account that you wish to link, and provide your credentials. As you can see, the linked accounts will show in the box, and you can remove them by clicking the same button. But before we move on, at the bottom of the slide, I wanted to take a moment to point out the delegates box. If you have someone who manages or will assist you in managing your account, provide their email address. That's it. The delegate will have their own account to create their own documents and also have the ability to manage yours without your credentials to log in. Next slide, please. Once you have set up your account, you're ready to use Science CV and add your citations. Your account automatically comes with My Bibliography. My Bibliography is a place where citations can be it's tightly integrated with PubMed. NIH grant investigators will be very familiar with PubMed because they are required to use My Bibliography to track their peer-reviewed publications for NIH public access compliance. When it's time to fill out their progress report, the citations from My Bibliography automatically populates in the RPPR. If you don't have any publications in PubMed, don't worry. You're able to add citations manually or upload the citations using a RIS file from your citation manager. Most citation managers have the option to download a RIS. Any citation in My Bibliography can be used in your biosketch. Science CV also integrates ORCID. If you have linked your ORCID account to Science CV, you can pull in your citations and grant information. An ORCID account also provides extra benefits since it can pull in from many different sources like PubMed, Crossref, European PMC, Scopus, just to name a few. Since PubMed is more life science, ORCID is really a great solution if you're publishing in areas that are not a part of the life sciences. And like My Bibliography, you're able to upload publications, create manual citations. You can use both of these options. You are not limited to using either My Bibliography or ORCID. Next slide, please. One of the things that both NSF and NIH greatly appreciates is feedback. At a previous FDP meeting, there was a use case of an author who collaborated with a lot of other authors. Keeping in mind that NSF BioSketch has a 2-page limit. On the left is an example of 3 citations PDF showing how much space a large author list can take up. This is without including professional preparation and the appointment sections filled out. The BioSketch has gone over the maximum allotted pages, and a download alert will let you know. This is something that both NSF and NIH definitely wanted to address. Next slide, please. So here's the solution. If you have linked your ORCID account using an NSF BioSketch, you now have the option to edit large author list. To the right, there is an option called Edit Authors next to each citation. Next slide, please. By clicking the link, an editable pop-out text box will appear with all the authors' names. Based on your policy guidance, edit the author list. Next slide, please. This is an example of the first 3 authors and at all included. Then once you're satisfied, you can save the list. Next slide, please. Back one, please. Thank you. Next to the ORCID tab, the 3rd tab is called Edited. And yes, all the edited citations are stored here. In the screenshot, the 2nd and 3rd citations have been modified with et al. If I wanted to modify my name to show in the list, I can do this as well. Going back to the ORCID tab, there is the red word edited in parentheses to let you know that the record has been modified. You now have the option to select a single ORCID citation or the edited citation. Next slide, please. Okay, now we are looking at all 3 citations with the 2 modified citations, number 2 and 3, we saw earlier. This minor adjustment will not throw us over the 2-page limit. Next slide, please. Here are examples of the NIH BioSketch and the NSF BioSketch document. You will notice that there is a similar setup. Another great benefit of using ScienceCV is that it reduces the redundancy by being able to copy an existing BioSketch into different formats. Next slide, please. Here's an example of the PDFs that automatically include the hidden embedded structured data that is ready for submission on demand as part of your grant submission process. As you can see here, the edited author information is included in the structured data, but not visible in the PDF, meaning that NSF is getting all the citation information and you are able to meet that 2-page requirement. The bottom line is you will not be penalized for authoring with large groups anymore. Next slide, please. Current and pending support was launched this spring in ScienceCV. From left to right, you can see the interface, the screen showing the information as it's being saved, the PDF, and of course that embedded structured data that creates when the file was created. The great thing about an on-demand PDF is if you find an error, simply go back into the document, make corrections, and re-download the document. Next slide, please. Science CV will allow you to create and store as many documents as you want. You can have PDFs on demand. Notice an error, no worries, make the correction and click the PDF button again. And finally, you can have delegates without compromising your username and password. Next slide, please. So, how do you get to Science CV? The easiest way is to type Science CV into your favorite search engine and bookmark it, or you can type in our URL and bookmark that. As mentioned previously, my NCBI has a suite of tools, and Science CV lives within that account. And I have a link here where you can find more information about the My NCBI account. Over on the right are videos, short, quick videos that provide additional information about Science CV, like the how-tos. These are listed on the homepage of Science CV as well. And the last, how do you get a hold of us for feedback and questions? Let us know what's working for you and where improvements can be made. We take seriously every comment and every suggestion that we receive. I just wanted to quickly thank you for your time. And now over to Jeff Faselli.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, as everyone else said, thank you for joining. It is nice to, even if I can't see you all, it is nice to sort of be talking to people other than my family. Yeah, that was a joke. Hopefully everybody is faring well during this strange time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk just a little bit about our new award notices, and in particular for PI transfers. Go ahead to the next slide, Denise, or Jimmy, who's ever doing it. As I've reported at other ERA forums, we have been under a multi-year project to modernize our award system. And as part of that modernization of that award system, we have looked at our award notices, and we've made lots of different changes and different upgrades. And as you can see, our release schedule of how we chunked out pieces of our award system and the notices that we sent out. We started in March of 2018, and our most recent release was in June of 2020. And we've covered no-cost extensions, other administrative actions, post-award funding actions, new and renewal awards, award cancellations and reductions. And let's go ahead to the next slide. The last piece that we have out there is PI transfers. They are scheduled for release late November of this year, 2020. And we are keeping the same sort of standard look and feel and layout. No longer a letter. We are still sending copies to the PIs and co-PIs. And we clearly identify the information in each section of the award so that you can quickly jump to how much of the award is being transferred, who is the PI, co-PI, and that information is all clearly identified. And as I said, this is the last award notice that we have to modernize. We do still have some additional functionality in the old award system to move to the new system, but it does not affect any of the award notices. So once we move this at the end of this month, everything will be in our new format. And let's go ahead to the next slide. And that was all that I had to say on my topic. It was a short topic. Oh, I will mention one other thing. This is just strictly the award notice. We do have, or will be having, a project to look at what we might do in terms of moving the PI transfer process over to Research.gov. I'm not sure when that might happen, but eventually that will happen. So this is just the award notice. And now I will turn it over to Rama, who is going to sort of lead us and walk us through our Q&A section.
Great, thank you. So our first question is, in many instances, the post-award staff are in charge of maintaining the faculty OS and biographical sketch reports. Is there a way for post-award staff to access the faculty's OS and biographical sketch without using their faculty's login information? This question is for Science CV.
Absolutely. This is where the delegations come in handy. Again, you can quickly access this by logging into your Science CV account, clicking your username on the top right, going down to delegates, providing the person's email address who will be managing your account. They will be given an email where they will create their own account and be able to link to yours.
Okay. All right, off to the next one. In some instances, an institution's fiscal year runs from July to June, so it spans 2 calendar years. Based on the FAQs, the latter of the 2 calendar years should be used in the year field on the current and pending support document. However, the system will not allow this if the fiscal year used falls after the last project year. How should this situation be addressed? This question is for policy.
Hello, everyone. It's Jean again. This is a great question, and I'm happy that someone sent it in because I clearly believe that others may have this issue as well. This question is related to the current and pending support format in Science CV, and your interpretation of the FAQs is absolutely correct. If your fiscal year spans 2 years, the latter year should be used to identify person months or partial person months per year that are committed to the project. We are going to work with our partners at Science CV to look into this a bit further to determine whether this compliance check is necessary. But we appreciate your asking the question. Thank you.
Great, thanks. When using the NSF billable current and pending support document, if only the first 2 pages of the document are needed, does the user have to keep all 15 pages? Question for DIS.
Hi, this is Michelle from DIS. So due to the static nature of the form, we needed to provide a set number of entries to accommodate 90% of users' use cases. And this was based on surveys of previously submitted proposal data. So while we agree that this is kind of awkward from a usability standpoint, and there do seem to be several issues with the fillable forms, we're recommending that people use Science CV, as well as we've also put together a team that includes the policy office, Maria, as well as program representatives to evaluate options. But in the meantime, as an alternate to the NSF, another NSF approved format is the Science CV version. So we're recommending that.
Okay. Next question. Must the total award amount be equal to the amount listed on the notice of award or the amount available to a specific PI, co-PI?
Okay,
for
so
policy.
Yeah, so this is a really complicated question. So in reality, this is Jean again. In reality, if it's a PI or co-PI and they have an award, it's the full amount of the award. It's not their piece of it, it's the total amount of the award, not what's available to a specific PI or co-PI. If it's a collaborative proposal with a subaward, the total amount refers to the amount awarded to or requested by the prime for that subaward. Because we realize that for the subaward, it would be completely misleading if you got a subaward and it was, a $50,000 subaward, but the full effort, the full project that was funded was $1 million. Well, obviously that would be very misleading. So it's the amount for that subaward. For separately submitted collaborative proposal, the total award amount refers to the amount of the current award to or pending proposal from the proposing organization. So there are really various responses depending on where you are in the mix, whether it's just a straight research award, whether it's a subaward, whether it's a collaborative submission. Thank you.
Sure. Next question. When will PI transfers be available in Research.gov?
Oh, I can take this one. This is Michelle. So Jeff Baselli kind of touched on this a little bit in his presentation, but like he mentioned, we don't have a date commitment right now, but it will likely be after the proposal submission modernization is complete.
Great. Okay. Can NSF allow a more robust LaTeX PDF format since most of the users in Science CV use LaTeX? Or can NSF provide a LaTeX version template with its detailed requirements for figures and tables?
Yeah, this is Dave Saunders. I'll take this one. So I'm assuming that the questioner is asking about the project descriptions. And I would say, we do test to make sure that LaTeX generated documents pass our validations. But, we've never really been in the business of, with some exceptions, of providing approved templates. And there's there's really an open source community that develops those and shares those. So we don't really see a need for us to jump into that. I would say that the fact that we turned off the validations for the fonts probably reduced the questioner's burden significantly.
I agree with that very much, Dave Saunders. This is Jean. I think that's going to help a lot.
Yes. Go ahead, Rana.
All right, great, thank you. Would it be possible to add Web of Science to the list of citation archives available for populating the bibliographies from? This would dramatically reduce the manual input necessary for all for our staff publications. Questions for Science CV.
This is Sherry. Thank you for that suggestion. I will further research it and discuss this option with our development team as well as our policy team.
Okay. From the list of available degrees, may we add certifications or something similar?
So this is a great question. What the question is actually referring to is a drop-down list for available degrees in Science CV. So if your degree type, and this may be particularly relevant for the professional appointments, if your degree type is not listed here, you can select others, but and then insert it there. But we do plan based on this question. Again, just like Sherry said, I think this is a great question. And we've got to discuss it more with NSF's Division of Information Systems as well as our colleagues at NIH. But thank you for asking the question. You would use other for a certification.
All right. Once an extra field is added for an author, the tool does not allow the user to remove it, results in having to start over from the beginning of the entry. Will NSF offer the ability to delete an extra author field? This is for Science CV.
Actually, this was a suggestion that was previously made, and this fix is currently in development, and we hope to have it available soon, where you will be able to actually delete individual fields within the authors.
Okay. Does the biographical sketch bibliographic reference need to be in APA format?
The answer to that is no. Proposers, particularly PIs that are doing not only their biographical sketch, but this also applies to the references cited section of the proposal as well. And they really need to follow the accepted scholarly practices in providing citations that are appropriate for that particular discipline, because the formats do differ. And as you know, NSF funds a broad range of disciplines, and there are some variances between the disciplines. So we don't mandate that format, but we do tell you to follow the convention of your particular discipline in terms of the actual format of references. Thank you.
Thank you. When will the biographical sketch forms be fixed? There needs to be more space under other significant products or synergistic activities. There needs to be more room for full citations. Citations do get cut off.
Thank you for your feedback on this one. This seems to be inherent to the fillable forms, that no one is really happy with the spacing. We did adjust the fillable forms back in May based on community input. But again, this will be another item that we will evaluate as part of that team that includes Policy Maria and program representatives, where we will be looking at the fillable PDFs again to enhance them.
Okay. Many of the PIs are experiencing difficulty in getting PDF documents accepted in Research.gov. Specifically, the error message indicates margins are not in compliance, where it's set to 1-inch margin all around in Word correctly. Are there any recommended ways or applications for preparing PDF documents for upload to prevent such glitches from happening?
Thanks, Rama. I'll take this. Hello, everyone. My name is Sonia Aurora. So for this question, per the PAP guide, the margins, left, right, top, and bottom, are required to be at 1 inch. So some root causes that may cause the margin errors are page numbers. So be sure that the document has no text in the header or footer, including page numbers. So the Research.gov proposal submission system will automatically paginate and add page numbers for you when the proposal PDF is generated. So page numbers should not be removed. Another reason why you may receive this error is due to inserted images or shapes. So margins can be set to 1 inch, but a stray image or shape can violate the margin rule. So setting the margin rule to 1 inch would not automatically correct the images or shapes back within the margins. So be sure to review all the inserted images and shapes.
All right, thank you. There are always margin errors, even when the margins, okay. There are always margin errors, even when the margins are 1 inch. When will Research.gov proposal preparation submission system be able to handle PDFs creating using LaTeX?
I'll take this one again. So it's similar to my previous response. So we do receive proposals from the LaTeX community. And as I just mentioned, a margin error can be triggered by hidden elements, misplaced figures or images, or text that may not be readily visible to the user.
Please explain why users are able to change the funding opportunity in a Research.gov proposal like in FastLane.
I'll take that one as well. So both Research.gov and FastLane systems enforces business rules which will not allow the user to change the solicitation after a draft proposal has been created. I also demoed this and briefly covered this as well during the demo. To change the funding opportunity at that point, the user will have to initiate a new proposal. But thank you for this question. We will consider and look into an enhancement down the road.
There is currently a proposal that is in the process of being submitted for the NSF 20-591 funding opportunity using the FastLane platform. Will changes need to be made, or will the proposal need to be re-entered in Research.gov?
So again, I'll take this. If the solicitation allows a submission via Fastlane and Research.gov, then you can continue in Fastlane and submit. This is an enhancement that we can evaluate in the future.
After upload of the biographical sketch and current pending support, if an error or non-compliance is detected with the updated template, will that cause the application not to complete the upload? In Research.gov, what capability will be provided if there are any errors or warnings with the biographical sketch and or current and pending support sections?
Take this one, it's Michelle again. I think we answered the second question as part of the demo, but as far as the errors, that will be, so in both Research.gov and Fastlane, users will be blocked from uploading non-compliant documents. And so you will receive an error if you try to upload a document that's not compliant, and that will prevent you from proceeding on with the upload. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the last question for today. A bio has been created for faculty PI in SignCV. The PI is currently the director of a federally funded university-supported institute and has been since 2017. This is the appointment the PI prefers to be recognized as his or her current position, title, and employment. So it has been marked as such. The PI is also currently a member of an industry advisory committee, more recently, 2020. As a result, the appointments section is not in reverse chronological order, as SignCV is maintaining the position marked as use the entry as the position title and current employment as the foremost entry in this section. How should this be corrected?
This issue has been addressed within SignCV, but if you are still experiencing an issue, please contact us at the SignCV help desk so we can further investigate and resolve the issue.
Okay, thank you. This concludes the QA portion of the presentation.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. We want to thank the presenters for all the presentations and for all of you for participating in today's ERA webinar. We encourage you to complete the post-webinar survey. As I mentioned, we do look at the results of the survey, and it's very helpful for us to know, what you guys are thinking. Just a reminder, or just to let you know, please complete the survey by November 30th. It should only take you about 5 minutes. Also, if you're interested in subscribing to the ERA Forum listserv, we have that information here. And again, we'll post the webinar materials. Those will be available after the forum. And what we'll also do is compile all the questions that we received from today's webinar. We will compile that, and that'll also be posted on our website. And we thank you again for your participation, and we hope you all stay safe and that you try out our new demo site. Thank you again. Have a great day.